Hey everyone, it's Grayson the Goosebumps Kid here, and it's been a while since I've made another Goosebumps book review. Just been busy, losing track of time, sort of like Michael. Just been trying to catch up with life. School's been okay so far. But other than that, I've been doing fine. I hope you guys have been doing fine. I actually just finished a book up yesterday, and I'll go ahead and figured might as well get the review out today. And that book that I read was Goosebumps Series 2000, book number 4, Invasion of the Body Squeezers, Part 1. Now, this book actually has a little bit of an interesting detail. I can't show you until I finish Part 2, or until I read Part 2. But it has something to do with the cover here, and I will show you in the Part 2 review. But Invasion of the Body Squeezers Part 1, what is it about? Basically, you follow this kid named Jake, and I believe that's his name, Jake. He has a little sister named Billy, and his parents are gone most of the day. They only come home around like supper and bedtime, but anyways, Jack and his little sister, they hang out all the time. Jack is actually watching a movie. Billy annoys him. His little sister, Billy, always tries to act like she can do better. Like anything that he does, she can do better. And Jack gets annoyed with it. So he decides that he wants to leave his little sister. Well, not leave her, but I just mean, like, he wants to get out of the house with school and stuff. School's about to start back, but he actually has a neighbor, and the neighbor has been a little bit creepy. So, his neighbor's creepy. If I can find the neighbor's name, Mr. Fleshman. His neighbor, Mr. Fleshman, is kind of a weirdo. He's kind of keeps to himself. He's a loner type. But Jack, he decides to investigate, and he doesn't really talk much to him because he seems like he's kind of a weirdo. But one night, Jack is fed up with his sister and school and stuff, so he's walking by. He decides to go talk to Mr. Fleshman. Mr. Fleshman answers the door, but he's not really all that friendly. Tells Jack to go away, kind of answers him rudely, tells him to leave him alone. Jack, of course, does, but later on during the night, he actually sees through a window Mr. Fleshman and some creature fighting one another. And he's kind of freaked out about that. So, yeah, the next day, Jack tells his parents about what happened. Of course, they don't believe him because he tells monster stories before. And no, it's not like the girl who cried monster. He doesn't tell it all the time. But Billy is he's kind of made an impact on his little sister Billy. That's why they don't believe him. He passes it on to his sister. They go argue with one another all the time. But Jack is trying to convince his family that Mr. Fleshman is not who he says he is. He thinks Mr. Fleshman is from outer space because of all the weird stuff that's been going on. So one day, Jack sneaks into his basement, and he finds a whole lot of weird stuff. One of them being a little box with, like, a beeper. And after he finds this box, let's just say some weird things start happening. Invasion of the Body Squeezers was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Of course, the title was sort of a ripoff from Invasion of the Body Snatchers. But Body Squeezers, nothing really happens in Part 1. Nothing supernatural or alien, I can tell you that right now. The cover is kind of misleading for Part 1. For Part 1, maybe up until the ending. But Part 1 really has nothing to do with aliens. Nothing at all. It's just kind of building up into the fact that something weird is going on. But, yeah. Sorry, I almost dropped my book. So far, I think part 1 was good. Not my favorite Series 2000 book I've read. My all-time favorites of Series 2000 so far has definitely been Bride of the Living Dummy and Are You Terrified Yet? But I can't say that for sure because there is part 2, and I will get to part 2 later on. Just got to give me some time. However, part 1, it was alright. Characters were good, like the characters. Mr. Fleischman was an interesting guy. The ending was, of course, a build-up into part 2. The ending, though, was very, very suspenseful, and it left me guessing for part 2. I can't wait to read part 2. The ending was very good. It gets kind of boring in some parts, but other than that, I do think this was a pretty solid book. So that has been my review on Invasion of the Body Squeezers, part 1. If I had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give it about a 8. It was good for what it was. But I don't think it was... It did get boring at some points, but it was good for what it was. So, yeah, that's my rating. 7.5 to an 8 out of 10. Really, really thought it was pretty good. Highly, I recommend it. Not highly, but I recommend it. But yeah, that was Invasion of the Body Squeezers Part 1. That's my review. What were your guys' thoughts on it? Let me know down in the comment section down below. Would love to hear them. And, yeah, I guess stay tuned for Part 2. I'm glad to be back getting into Goosebumps and making a new video. Thank to all those of you who are sticking with me. And thanks for watching my Goosebumps collection video. It's actually doing pretty well. Didn't think that would happen. So, yeah, God bless all of you, and I will see you in Invasion of the Body Squeezers Part 2. Bye, everyone.